Wow, that was definitely better than last week. Welcome back, everybody, to the Season 7 reviews for Game of Thrones. Today we're going to be reviewing the season finale, Episode 7, The Dragon and the Wolf, and my god, do we have a lot to discuss this week, guys. So much went down in this episode. It's the longest in the series, most extended episode thus far. We got a lot of stuff, a lot of character interactions, a lot of moments, a lot of build-up, a lot of everything. There's a lot to dissect, so this video is probably going to be a lot longer than my usual videos. But anyways, let's get into this. I even have to bring up my phone just to bring up what was in this episode. I had to write it all down because there's just so much. It was a crazy episode, better than last week as I said, but I'll get into that at the end. So let's just talk about this scene by scene. First off, we have the big reunions, big meetings at King's Landing. Episode starts off with the Unsullied, led by Grey Worm, outside of King's Landing. Bronn's watching them with Jaime, and the Dothraki come in. They're outside the city. Meanwhile, we got Euron's fleet coming into King's Landing. We got Dany's team, including Tyrion, Theon, Missandei, Varys, Jon, the Hound, all sailing in. Everyone's coming in. Cersei's getting ready with the Mountain. It's pretty much just everybody's coming in all at the same time. A lot of humorous, a lot of character interactions with Bronn and Jaime talking about the Unsullied. Bronn's being funny as usual, but if there's one thing I noticed about this series is that there's just too many dick jokes. I may be the only one who thinks that, but there's just a bit too much excess on the dick jokes in this series. It feels like they don't really have anything else to say. I feel like they could be more creative with that humor. Minor nitpick, but it's still funny because Bronn's actor, Jerome Flynn, plays it really well. He's always funny every time. And anything he says in the show is good. Bronn's probably one of the only few good characters left that I actually care about in that regard, just because he's so funny and humorous. He brings that sort of element to the show that's kind of needed to break the tension. Yeah, so we got everyone coming into King's Landing. Tyrion reunites with Bronn again. You know, he saw him in episode 5, but now he talks with him. Pod's there. Brienne reunites with the Hound. They kind of have their discussion about, oh, Arya's still alive and all that. Good stuff. A lot of build-up. Just a lot of build-up. Finally, we get everybody at the Dragon Pit, the legendary Dragon Pit, which is a really iconic location from the histories and lores of Westeros. If you read the books, you know about the Dragon Pit. It's where the old Targaryen kings used to hide their dragons before they died. And they kept them in captivity, so it was really nice to see that location, which is really talked about in the books, really prominent in the lore. The CGI or the set looked really well, good for that. We also get a really cool interaction. The Hound meets his brother, the Mountain, once again. We don't get Clegane Bowl, but it was really cool to just see them face off. The Hound just walks straight up to him. No one says anything. He just walks straight up to him and says, "Yeah, I'll get you one day." So we don't get them fighting this episode. I didn't expect that, but you know that they're gonna fight eventually, and it's gonna be great. We will get Clegane Bowl eventually, and I'm not disappointed that we didn't get it this episode. But it was okay. Good character interactions. We basically have everybody in this scene, pretty much every single character, save for like maybe Sansa and Arya and Littlefinger, Tormund and Beric and Gendry, are in this scene. Literally every single character in the series is pretty much present at this point. Euron's there, Qyburn's there, Jaime's there, Cersei's there. Dany comes in late with her dragons, makes a fashionable entrance. I don't know why they did that. Like, I have no idea why they did that. Why she came late. There seems to be no reason for that, so I was kind of jarred by that, but it wasn't a big deal. We got Jon, we got Podrick, we got Brienne, we got Davos, Tyrion, Missandei, Theon, and the meeting basically starts off with Euron saying, "Hey Theon, I got your sister. You want her? Come get her, or she's gonna die. And if you bend the knee to me right now, she won't die." And then basically they say, "Hey, there's more important matters at hand." And Tyrion's basically like, "Hey, there's a war that's going on." They kind of demonstrate, they show everyone the white that they captured in the last episode. Show Cersei, really cool scene when Sandor's opening up the box. I feel like they kind of wasted time. It felt kind of fillery how they spent so much time of showing him opening up the box. I'm like, come on, just get to it already. I feel like they wasted a bit of time in that, but it's not that big of a deal. I feel like I'm nitpicking this episode just because last week was so shit, but yeah. So they show Cersei the White, really cool scene, really cool prosthetics or CGI, whatever they use for him, really kind of intense. They chop it up, they show you can only kill them with fire or dragon glass. We see that demonstrated in that scene. Cool stuff, but Cersei's like, "I refuse, I'm not going to fight for you guys." And Euron, basically, really funny scene, he's like, "Can they swim?" Jon's like, "No." Euron's like, "Good." He leaves, Euron's gone, humorous, really funny. But Cersei refuses, and she kind of leaves. Everyone's like, shit, what do we do? Tyrion's like, oh, guys, we are fucked, basically. He says it outright. We're fucked. And so he goes to talk to Cersei on his own. And let me tell you guys, this is my favorite part of the episode. My favorite scene in this episode was the scene between Tyrion and Cersei, because you know they have a lot of bad blood. They've always had a lot of bad blood throughout the entire series. We see it in the earlier seasons. They always hate each other. They kind of got along here and there, but you can tell they hate each other. They're justified for hating each other. Tyrion killed her dad, was responsible for the death of her mother. She blames him for a lot of other things, betraying her family, thinking that he wants the death of her family. And Cersei's wanted him dead his whole life as well. Like, she tried to have him killed at the Blackwater, tried to have him executed blaming him for Joffrey's murder. She hates Tyrion. He doesn't hate her, but he has a good reason to. And they kind of come to terms in the scene, and it's really well done. The emotional acting and just the intensity of it, the whole scene, seeing Tyrion and Cersei, like, they can act. Lena Headey and Peter Dinklage, I give my hats off to them. I'm not taking off my hat, but I give my hats off to them. They did a really phenomenal job with acting in that scene, and I was actually getting a bit choked up. It was actually so, like, this is probably the most emotionally, like, well put together scene, and probably since season 5, like, when that scene with Stannis and his daughter, Shireen. This is like one of the most emotionally gratifying scenes, and I was like, wow, that's actually really well. Like, it was just, I don't know if it was the dialogue or if it was the acting, but just seeing them come together and come to terms and like kind of discuss all the grievances they have with one another and trying to put their problems aside. It's intense, and the acting really showed in that scene, and I was very, very impressed with that. I did not expect that to happen, but I was very impressed, like I said. So basically, Cersei agrees, said, I'll fight for you guys, just make sure that you guys don't fight me. Jon kind of says something stupid. He's like, oh, I bet the knee to Dany already. You know, Jon, he's got his honorable Stark ways, and that's the honorable Stark ways that gets them killed. That's how Ned died, that's how Robb died, and it showed in this scene, so there's a kind of consistent theme with that, showing that like the Starks are not smart when it comes to like politics and being honest, because it kind of screws them over in the end, and everyone kind of calls Jon out about it when they go back to Dragonstone. But basically they go back to Dragonstone. Dany's team, her entire team, kind of discusses like, okay, we're gonna sail here, the Unsullied go here, Dothraki go there. Her whole team. And basically Dany and Jon decide we're going to sail to White Harbor together towards Winterfell. You can tell Jorah's mad about that. He's like, oh no. He knows that Jon and Dany hooked up, and he's kind of disturbed by it, but he's like, I can't do anything about it. We've all been there, Jorah. It's okay. We know how it is. I know how it is. But basically after that, we get a really nice scene where Theon talks to Jon, because Theon really hasn't done anything all season, to be honest. So I guess they need to give his character arc, like in his story this season, kind of some closure. And we get a scene with him talking to Jon, saying, oh, Ned was our real father, and like Theon says, yeah, I paid for what I did. I did a lot of bad things. Jon's like, I regret a lot of things too. And it's nice to see them kind of reconcile with each other, kind of like Cersei and Tyrion's scene. Very nice stuff. Alfie Allen, who plays Theon, really good actor, really showed in that scene as well. Kit Harington was okay, but I feel Alfie Allen is much better of an actor. He did a really phenomenal job. We get to see Theon say, I gotta go rescue my sister, and Jon's like, go ahead. And like, that's really nice to see them kind of get back together, because they grew up together. Him, Robb, Theon, Jon grew up together in Winterfell. They were all like the same relative age, and they kind of did things together. We see it in the early episodes. So it's nice to see them kind of like get along and put aside their differences once and for all, and kind of come together. Of course, put the bad blood, put the past behind them, and talk about it. Really nice, really good scene, really well acted. And then we get the next scene where Theon basically confronts the Ironborn, the remaining Ironborn, and says, hey, we gotta go save my sister. The leading guy there says, no, we're not gonna see your sister. We're just gonna sail east, find this island, steal everyone's wives. We don't care about the dead. The dead can't swim. Let's just hide on an island. And Theon's like, no, Yara's our queen. We have to save her. And he gets into a fight with the main guy. He gets pretty beat up, but it was kind of stupid how Theon won the fight against the guy, how he like kneed him in the balls, but he doesn't have any, so he's just like, haha, that doesn't hurt, and he pushes him back, beats the shit out of him with a rock, and like basically tells everyone, we're gonna go save Yara. They agree. Good scene, but it's kind of cheesy in a way. I was like, that's stupid and kind of weird how he used like his lack of a dick and balls to kind of beat the guy in a fight, and I was like, it works, but it's kind of cheesy at the same time. But it was fine. Like, Theon's scene was really good in this episode. I'm glad we get to see his character have some sort of interaction and do stuff, because he hasn't done anything all season besides jump off a ship. So I was happy about that because Theon's one of my favorite characters as well, and not just in the books but in the show. I always loved Theon. Yeah, he messed up, but he's a very sympathetic character, and you can kind of relate to him and see his downfall and feel bad for him, but also support him at the same time. I always loved Theon's character, so it's nice to see that he got a really good scene in this episode. And Alfie Allen did a great job acting, of course. Other scenes we have the Winterfell stuff. Like I said, the Winterfell plot has been really cringy and kind of bad, unnecessary. We have the unnecessary drama between Arya and Sansa, and we finally get to see it pay off in this episode, and it was kind of jarring how they kind of figured it out. They basically try to play it off as if Arya is going to be executed and confronted for threatening Sansa, but then they say, nope, Littlefinger, you are accused of killing Aunt Lysa, accused of starting the War of Five Kings, accused of betraying our father, because basically Bran told them everything, so it's kind of the easy way out. I thought that was kind of dumb, how it was the easy way out of this plot. Like, it was just convenient for Bran to tell them everything. It's like, why couldn't he just tell them that earlier? I guess they were just kind of playing him and trying to get him at the right moment. So basically, Littlefinger's begging on his knees, says, "Oh, I love you, Sansa. I loved your mother." And Aidan Gillen did really well with acting in that scene. Like, you never see Littlefinger in that vulnerable position before. He's always like conniving. He's always confident and knows what he's doing. But in this particular scene, he's like crying on his knees. He's literally crying, and he's like begging for mercy. But of course, they don't give it to him. They kill off Littlefinger. Arya slices his neck, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, I guess you got to get rid of Littlefinger. You can tell the writers had no idea what they were doing with Littlefinger this season, so I guess they had to get rid of him somehow by setting up this really unnecessary fillery drama plot between Arya and Sansa. I thought it was okay though. The acting was good. It was nice to see Littlefinger go because he was always a better character in the first 4 seasons, but since season 5, he's just been kind of stupid, and I don't really care about him anymore. So I'm just glad that they kind of got rid of him because he's been kind of a bug, kind of been a hindrance to the series. He's been kind of creeping around Winterfell. He has no real motive. And now he's dead, so we don't have to worry about those shitty plot lines anymore. So I guess that's one good thing to look for. Another scene we have is between Jaime and Cersei, where Cersei says, "What are you doing? You're not supposed to be taking the commanders anywhere. I don't want to march my armies north." She basically lied to everyone at the Dragon Pit and says, "No, I'm not fighting with the Starks and Targaryens. I'm gonna go stay here with our baby, our potential baby." And she tells him, don't bring the armies north. But Jaime's like, nope, I'm bringing them. Finally, Jaime leaves Cersei, and it was a really good scene, because Cersei had some conspiracy going on with Euron, where she's basically going to hire the Golden Company, which is a pretty important plot line from the 5th book in the series, where these 2 characters who aren't in the show kind of gather Golden Company and they attack Westeros. So I guess they're trying to incorporate that into the show somehow. I'm glad they mentioned how they have elephants, so I assume we'll see them next season. Euron with the Golden Company fighting everybody. Interesting. Really cool. But the main point of that scene, of course, was Jaime finally leaving Cersei. And I'm so glad, because Jaime has kind of been Cersei's pawn. She's been using him all pretty much for the entire series, and that's been his weakness and downfall. And he's finally leaving her, which is good. I'm glad to see that. He says, "Nope, screw you. I'm taking these armies. We're gonna go fight north." And he's like, "I don't believe you," because the mountain was about to kill him. But then he walks right past him because he knows Cersei's not gonna kill the man she loves the most. That's just how intense it is. Good scene. Jaime leaves King's Landing. Doesn't have Lannister armor. He's wearing this new cloak. And snow starts to fall in King's Landing for the very first time. So we get to see it snowing in King's Landing, which is kind of a thing that we've not seen in the series, because winter's coming, and that means the weather's going to come with it. Cool visuals. We get a cool set song with visuals of King's Landing having snow. Interesting stuff. And we have a scene with Arya and Sansa talking about, I always liked you, Sansa, and they kind of just reconcile with each other again, unnecessary stuff. It was kind of cheesy. I didn't really care about the scene between Arya and Sansa, but it was okay. And then another scene at Winterfell. Sam arrives at Winterfell. Got there pretty quickly, but then again, let's not talk about the teleportation stuff. We've ratted on that enough this series, with the shitty travel times and how characters are able to get to one place so fast. Sam comes to Winterfell, and I'm kind of perplexed by that. I'm just why is he just randomly walking into Winterfell and talking to Bran? For no reason. He just comes into Winterfell. It's like, "Hey, Bran, what's up?" It doesn't really make sense to me. I'm just why is he doing this? They don't really give any backing. They don't know why he's at Winterfell. I guess he's assuming that he's going there to see Jon. Jon's not there yet. But he's like, "Hey, Bran, what's up? You want to talk about Jon?" "Sure." It's kind of feels rushed, kind of feels weird. Like, could have spent more time building up that scene rather than like all the time they wasted at the beginning of the episode trying to show the white. But again, it feels like nitpicks, not really a big issue. Basically, we get a really important scene where Bran and Sam discuss Jon's heritage, and we find out that Rhaegar Targaryen actually married Lyanna Stark, and that makes Jon the true heir to the Iron Throne. And his real name's Aegon Targaryen. I kind of have a problem with that name because in the lore, and everyone knows that Aegon's other son was named Aegon as well. No, Rhaegar's other son was named Aegon. So why would he name two of his different sons the same thing? That didn't really make much sense, but I assume they'll try to cover that up later on. Not a big deal though. Really nice that we got to see Rhaegar for the first time. This has been a legendary character that's been talked about throughout the entire series, mentioned in the books numerous times. He's in all the histories and lore. He's been in tons of theories. He's probably the most important character that was not in the series. So we finally got to see him in the series for the very first time in the flashback where we see him marrying Lyanna. And we don't really get to see him that much. It's kind of dark, but it felt weird. It felt really intense to see that payoff. After all these years, finally seeing Rhaegar in the flesh. I know there's illustrations of him in some of the books, but just to see him for the first time, it's that's really, it just kind of evokes some sort of emotion, especially when you've been invested in the series for so long. Just seeing Rhaegar Targaryen himself, it's a mix of emotions, really. But that scene, it kind of felt jarring in a way too. Like I said, Sam just suddenly coming in to see Bran doesn't really make much sense. Felt rushed. Didn't really make any sense. Didn't really have much backing. And Rhaegar marrying Lyanna, it's okay, what does this mean? Yeah, Jon's the true heir to the throne, but why should we care about this? It just feels kind of shoehorned into the episode and feels like a little fan servicey for some reason. It's Jon's actually the true hero of the story. He's the prophetic child and all that. It's yeah, this has been a theory for years, but it's just to me it feels a bit fan servicey and a bit forced in a way. And it doesn't really make much sense why Rhaegar would pretty much put the entire kingdom, the Robert's Rebellion, cause an entire war and cause the downfall of his family and put a kingdom into chaos just over a false love. Everyone thought he kidnapped Lyanna, but he actually married her and they loved each other. It's why? Why would they do that? It just makes Rhaegar seem like a complete dumbass, and it kind of paints him as the hero, but you kind of see that's not really heroic at all. He put all these people through chaos, so many deaths. Robert's Rebellion was a really important event that happened before the series, and just all over love. He canceled his marriage, he caused the death of his family, all over just one northern girl. It's kind of stupid, and I don't really support it that much. That's why I don't like all the theories regarding Jon and Rhaegar and Lyanna. But it was just nice to see them, just to see the character, the most talked about character in the series. So that's why I'll give that scene a pass. And also, the scene is kind of intercut with the scene between Jon and Dany. Yeah, Jon and Dany finally hook up. We get the scene everyone's been waiting for, the incest sex scene between Jon and Dany. Everyone knew it was coming. It's been in the leaks. I knew about it since October when the leaks were released. But it was not as bad as I thought it would. There's no words. It's just really, it's glossed over because his Bran's narrating over it, and it's really quick. So it's whatever. Jon and Dany were gonna hook up. We all knew it was gonna happen. Not a big deal. That scene didn't really bother me that much. I just found it funny how Tyrion was kind of watching them. So that scene is what kind of made it okay for me. I didn't think it was that bad because the humor stuff with Tyrion just kind of watching and looking oh, okay, they're doing it, fine. Whatever, it's stupid. I don't like Jon and Dany's relationship, but it wasn't really that bad in this episode. The scene was fine. No words. We didn't get cheesy, cringy dialogue like we did last episode between Jon and Dany. So the scene will get a pass for me, because I'm oh yeah, you know what? Screw it. Let's just see them do it. It's been talked about for years. It's been built up for years. Who cares? It was fine. But the ending scene, let's talk about the long ending scene. Basically, Tormund and Beric are at Eastwatch, kind of looking over the wall. And the Army of the Dead and all the White Walkers and the Giants come out, and the Night King comes with his new ride, Viserion, and burns down the wall with blue flame. Bit cheesy, but it's cool aesthetics. Show always has cool visuals, and they showed that in this scene. Music was really intense, really cool. The wall gets basically burnt down, a big piece of it, and the Army of the Dead, I don't know how many's in that army, a good 500,000, marching towards the north. Really epic, really cool. really intense. Really like that scene. So that's I pretty much dissected everything that's happened in this episode. So much that I had to talk about. This review has been really long. But overall, this episode was pretty good. It wasn't like amazing or spectacular. There was, like I said, there's a lot of fan service and a lot of things felt rushed and unnecessary and a bit jarring to me. But I was very entertained by it, and it was kind of an improvement from last week. I will give this episode just a simple 9 out of 10, 9.0 out of 10. Nothing more, nothing less. It wasn't special, but it was entertaining, and there wasn't really anything too bad that kind of pissed me off or was really inconsistent in terms of writing. So that's pretty much it for my review of this episode, guys. I will have a full Season 7 review coming to you soon. I don't know when, where I'm going to dissect the entire season, give it a final grade. But yeah, guys, thank you again for watching. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. I'm Rice Duke, and I'll catch you guys later.